Welcome to Never a Dull Moment. I'm Greg. This week we're continuing our series on strops. Just to let you know, I had planned to do a different video tonight. Unfortunately, some supplies aren't here. A video coming up in the series is a comparison of 0.5 micron between some top competitors. I'm excited to do that video. Tonight is on stropping technique only. We're not talking about compounds. We're just going to talk about technique. We're not even going to talk about like why we're doing this. I'm doing it in a certain order for a certain reason. Please bear with me. So tonight is the technique of stropping. I have, just for variation, when I go to do the stropping, I want to show you that I have some different size ones here. I'm using a 210 millimeter super blue on Ryu. I wanted to show you that so when you're trying to imagine, what we have in relationship. This particular strop is a little bit bigger than this knife, so it's about 210 to 230 millimeter. Sometimes you're going to have something smaller. Sometimes you're going to have something bigger. If you notice, we have a hanging strop. I'm going to be demonstrating that technique as well. I'm going to be doing two techniques, one on hanging, one on the bench. And I wanted to make a point to apologize for something I said last week. I'm not above making mistakes. I made a big mistake. I quoted last week that Jinda Industries is the only company that makes nano cloth. I was mistaken. I did not do my due diligence. I was distracted. It happens. I made a mistake. I apologize to Ken Schwartz. Ken Schwartz has been making nano cloth for 10 years. I left him out. I have called him personally. We have spoken. We're on good terms. We've apologized. As a matter of fact, I have some nano cloth headed this way and I can't wait to use it. But today is just stropping technique. So if you will bear with me, we're going to change some camera angles and we're going to show you how to do this technique. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going to place this knife. There's a lot of ways to do this, just so you know. I'm going to place this knife on the leather where I have the tip available. If I were to just start pushing the knife forward, this tip's going to cut right into the leather. Since we got a split screen going, you're going to notice that the knife itself will be elevated so that its angle matches my sharpening angle. This will vary on the hanging strop, but on this particular strop, with the leather being very hard, you might possibly even have diamond abrasive applied. We're not discussing diamond abrasive today. It's coming up in another video. But the first thing you need to know is we are going to be pushing this knife forward with the edge trailing. The edge is facing me. And we're going to push this knife forward. Okay. Now, the technique itself requires light pressure but even pressure. So I might, push this knife forward and continue, and then bring the knife on its way back. The angle of the knife itself needs to be the angle of the sharpening. Now, research has been done to show that you can increase the angle that you're stropping as much as up to 4%. Not spending a lot of time on why we're stropping, but stropping is a way that once we have sharpened the knife using various abrasives, as we've used abrasives, metal has been pulled to the edge. As metal has been pulled to the edge, it's curled up. Another reason we might be stropping is the edge might have rolled. So in either case, the edge, which is triangular, has metal that is hanging off. Think of it as like you have denim jeans on and you've been walking and you scraped like some of the denim on the asphalt and it's just dangling. Okay, so we need to remove that. Okay, it's not allowing us to cut because the actual triangle of the knife is not doing the cutting. There's metal in the way. So we need to rub the knife on this leather. Now, leather itself by itself has a certain amount of abrasive quality. Leather is pretty tough, but it has some give. If I press too hard on this leather, I'm actually going to take the foil edge of the knife and I'm going to curl it. because I'm pressing so hard that I'm literally bending the edge of the knife upward. And we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to let the knife rest under gravity. I'm going to create an angle. And as I push forward, I have now, think of it as like aligning the edge. So that way, if it was teetering back and forth, we can get it more aligned. The leather itself is gripping any particular metal. That's why we're going to do several passes. It's starting to help rip it away. So we are going to push forward. The pressure is so light. We do not want to risk altering the foil edge. So if you can see in the video that is like really close up right here, when I lay the knife down, think of it as I've got my sharpening angle. So I'm pushing, okay? So let's talk about a couple of different ways to do this. I could start at the heel. There's nothing wrong with starting at the heel, pushing away. It might be hard for you who's been sharpening the knife to keep the angle proper. If you're a knife sharpener like this, that might seem strange to you to do that. But if you're able to do it, it's not wrong. Okay? So you could start with the heel on both sides. You need to make sure that you get the heel. And you'll notice that with this 210 millimeter knife, I'm able to get the entire knife on this particular strop. Okay, I don't know how to tell you how light this is. It's like my hand is just, the gravity's just pulling my hand to earth. That's it. I'm not actually pressing the knife more. I'm pulling up here, but my hand is just resting with gravity. That's how little pressure is on here. Okay. Now, if you're looking at this saying, what the hell's on here? That is diamond emulsion that I had applied at some other date. It's been on there for a while. Again, that's a different topic. I do want to show you by comparison a much smaller strop. So for a 210 millimeter knife, and I apologize that this has nothing below it to keep it straight, but you might be able to get the whole thing. So you can see that it's a little bit harder. But even if you had to do it in sections, like if you had to go like this, it's not necessarily wrong. But if you're able, and again, I apologize that nothing's there to hold it, but I just wanted to show you, you do have to modify, okay? So let's just go back to the technique again real quick, just a big summary. Don't want to spend a lot of time on this. Think sharpening. Hold your knife initially. This is leather. This point can do damage to your strop. So if you're upright and you have a very pointy edge, you might very easily jab the leather. So in that case, you move like in a sideways direction and then go up. But you could also get to the tip last. You could literally go this way. I like that, actually. If you want to go that way. So this is going to give you 10% to 15% increase in your sharpness. It's the last thing you do. This technique can be done on the stone. You don't have to have a leather strop. The leather strop has like a little bit of give, we said, and you're able to apply diamond emulsions. We're going to be talking about that coming up. I do want to show you real quick. This is a very large knife. This is 270 millimeter. Okay. So we're going to run out of real estate. Let's see if we can get it going here. I'm going to go sideways. And we were able to do it. So You'll notice that I'm having to move my hand during the process to keep the weight distribution. Now, this can be done weekly or even daily on a knife that has been in use in your kitchen, especially if you're commercial. And so what I want you to know is if you're chopping on a cutting board with a knife, you are taking an edge and going like this until it rolls. And so some of you are using honing rods. Japanese knives are harder. Honing rods tend to be so hard that they can actually cause chips on the blade. So I would tell you definitely that having some leather to straighten out the edge is a great way to do that. So we have done the bench strop. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We're going to now go to the hanging strop. I can't wait for you guys to just try this. Okay, so once again, we're in my kitchen. Enjoy the home studio, guys. This is what we have. So I have a hanging strop. For the purposes of this video, this is kangaroo. There is leather. There is kangaroo skin. This is kangaroo tail. I showed you last week in the video the different types of strops. This is a pretty big strop, and it gives me room to show you the technique. Okay. There is a smooth side and a dull side. Okay. I am going to not put a lot of pressure, but when you put the knife on the strop and you put it at the proper angle, which is the sharpening angle, when you press, it's going to bow the material. And when it does that, it's going to increase the angle at which you're stropping. This is great for removing the burr. It is also possible, though, with too much pressure to roll the edge. So we want to actually be flatter than you think, because when we press and the leather or a kangaroo tail stretches, it will change the angle. Notice with a big strop, you've got plenty of room. Now, they make these in different sizes per the manufacturer, but if I had just that much room, I'm fine. I don't need the whole thing. It's nice to have the whole thing. If you have kangaroo, or if you have a material that has a rough side and a dull side, or smooth side, you would do the rough side first. The rough side is going to really grab the metal tassels that are hanging. And so just come in, get your nice angle close to what you're sharpening, put a little bit of pressure with the knife. You keep this kind of taut, and as you put pressure, it will change the angle. We do not want the angle to increase more than 4%, 4 degrees. So if you sharpened at 15 degrees, we don't want the stropping angle to be higher than 19 degrees. But we'd like it between 15 and 19. We'd like it to be a little bit higher. It's really going to be good to help remove those particles. Again, you would not do the edge first, because you end up cutting this beautiful material and then you cry because a lot of money was spent and it's gone. So don't do that, folks. So look, here's heel first. You could go toe first. I think it's a little easier to put the heel on there. Heel. Okay, so after we've done the amount of passes we decide to do, look, I like 20. There's people who do 6. There's people who do 8. There's whatever. Can't be bad. Too much pressure is going to alter the foil edge and roll the edge. I would then turn around and do the smooth side. Lighten your pressure now. When you really just kind of hit it, you're aligning the edge. Okay, you can see there's hardly any bend. I mean, I really am not flexing this at all. What you need to understand is that edge can get out of line like this. It can twist. And by running it down the smooth, you are making it into a straight line. So the initial stropping is pulling metal off. Too much pressure will roll the edge. If you've been chopping up stuff for a week and you don't have a burr, you haven't been sharpening, and you've got a curled edge, you can either, I would put it on the strop to just realign the edge. Just like that, you're going to straighten out the edge. You're not going to travel, everybody. You're not going to be traveling with hanging strops into a restaurant. If you're a commercial chef and you're using knives, you're not going to be doing that. Something like this travels well. It's going to be very easy for you to hold it in your hand, realign the edge, okay? They make paddle strops that actually have a handle, so you don't have to worry about this. But this is a really great way of realigning that edge in travel, okay? So last week I showed you a bunch of strops. This week I showed you how to use the knife on the strop. It's not rocket science. You put it on there the same angle you sharpened or up to 4 degrees higher. You make the edge trailing as you push away. Chances are you sharpened that way, okay? If you have a bigger knife, modify, okay? The hanging strop is a lot different than the bench, but you got to see the two different techniques. I love them both. I use them both. I hope you enjoyed the technique. Like I said, we got a lot more coming up in this series. More stropping stuff is coming at you. Again, thanks for watching the channel. We really appreciate you. We wish you never a dull moment. God bless.